On up. Here we go. It's bobsled time. Oh, sick, dude. Hell yeah. Welcome back, everybody. We're back at you again. And I'm going to sit here, and before we even go any further, before I introduce the very special guest and we get into the very good episode that we had before, we had yet another little hiccup. And look, guys, when you're doing a podcast, let me tell you something. This podcast shit is hard. It's even harder when you don't have a production team behind you or sponsorship or anything like that. When it is just up to two fucking kids who don't know what the fuck they're doing, being Travis and Eli, you're gonna run into some speed bumps, Daddy. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Guess what? When we go in the studio, guys, the album that you hear, shout out to The Drowning, check it out on Spotify. It's available on all major platforms as well, YouTube, all that shit.
Shameless self-plug.
Yes, shameless self-plug. That's one thing we need on the soundboard. Shameless self-plug. That would be dope. So whenever you're getting into anything, I'm gonna hone it in now because it's been an event. Whenever you're getting into anything that involves recording software, that involves, audio, video, anything like that, you're going to run into things. You're not going to get it right every single time. Or, like in this case, the software is just going to say, fuck you guys. And that's what's going to happen.
Stutter. Yeah, it just stutters.
Yep. Just has little hiccups. Oh, yeah. So, when we go into producing an album, and we're tracking drums, and we're tracking vocals, and we're tracking bass, and we're cutting samples, and we're doing all this, it's not like we do it in one take. It's not like we get into the studio and the album just comes out that way. That's not how it works. We got to do takes. So the same goes for this podcast, and this podcast is going to be a good example of it. And you guys, luckily, won't have to go through it with us because you're only going to get the finished version. But let me tell you guys, man, it has been a struggle and a very necessary one at that. So Travis is literally doing all of this stuff. We're doing all of this in Travis's bedroom on a, not ideal for podcasting interface as far as the Scarlett goes. No shade towards Scarlett, but it's not running thing. We need a new interface. We're running it all on Travis's MacBook. We're doing our goddamn best, is what I can say.
Yes, sir.
We're doing our goddamn best. And aside from a huge shout out to Travis, who is doing the majority of all of the back end stuff. So between him and Nichelle, they're sitting over here every night after we do an episode and everything like that. They work tirelessly to get it up on YouTube, and then they send it to me, and then I listen to it just to kind of have some feedback to see how it sounded, and then it goes up. Like that's our process.
Yep, yeah, that's it.
We ran into a couple technical issues, so this episode is going to be polished and refined.
Yeah, we've got it this time.
Well rehearsed, if I don't say so myself. Which brings me to reintroducing our guest. He is a firefighter. He is an EMT. He is also my roommate, and our moms are sisters, making us cousins. So, Joshua Baloney, welcome to the podcast, man.
What's up?
What's up, man. You've been over here. We've been recording. You've seen everything we've been up to.
All good.
Yeah. So, Josh is somebody that we wanted to have on for a couple different reasons. One, he works into the community service aspect of things, which I think by now, if you've listened to any of our other episodes, you understand how passionate and how much Travis and I are interested in community service and into working with people and discussing things with people who work in the community. So that's one thing that you do that outside of being, very close with you as far as us being cousins and everything like that. It's like that's one thing that I think regardless of us being family is like you and I have that same passion of like serving the community, kind of doing that kind of stuff.
I'd say so.
Yeah. So there's that. Josh is also our studio hand. He's our go-to man if we need a TV mounted in the studio.
Yeah, every single thing. He's responsible for the studio desk. This is like made on.
Yep.
And the monitor on the wall and just everything.
Yeah, so Josh is our studio handman. You know, any single thing, even when we had the studio out in Travis's garage, he helped us so much with just setting that up. He's also, when he's available, when he's not out there fighting fucking fires, he's my drum tech. Any single time that I can have Josh set up my drum set, because I know he's gonna fucking do it right.
Excellent. Every single time.
Everything is exactly where I need. He is the most dependable person that I've ever met in my entire life.
Outside of my work schedule.
I could agree.
Yeah, outside of when he can be there, he's
That
going to get
just
it done.
proves dependability, though.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for coming on.
Thank
We
you for having me.
could not, we've been trying to schedule it. You actually were just out on a fire.
Yes, the Oak Fire in MMU, that would be Merced-Mariposa unit or Merced County.
Nice. And that's up in Northern California.
Like Central
California.
about
Okay.
an hour and a half north of Bakersfield.
Gotcha.
Or, Fresno.
That's where we got Rue.
Yeah.
We got Rue from Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Yep,
It's
she
just
is a-
outside of Fresno, about an hour and a half.
Yep. Now, before we get super deep into the firefighter stuff, because that is something that we're definitely going to get into on this episode, one thing that I have referenced already in several of our episodes, I think all 4 of them, I've at least mentioned you one time in each episode. Reason being is because, and we were talking about it in our last little take before we had some of the technical issues that we had.
It's your fault.
Yeah, it had to have been. But, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. So Josh and I come from a very large, very close family. We have both calculated that we have at least 75 cousins. At least 75 cousins. As I mentioned earlier, my mom and Josh's mom are sisters. My mom is the oldest of 8 children. Josh's mom is the third of 8 children. So both of our moms obviously come from a bigger family, having plenty of siblings and everything like that. And then all of those people became fruitful and multiplied.
At least 3 to 4 kids per family.
Yeah, at least. Minimum.
At least. I think the max is 4 with Aunt Chris.
And then Aunt Laura has 1. 2. 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have 75 cousins plus. We were talking about how, before, and we talked about this in the intro, we covered this a little bit, how your dad was a firefighter in Banning at the same time that my parents lived in Cherry Valley or Beaumont area. Mm-hmm. And your family moving up to Joshua Tree, the rest of our family kind of followed suit.
Yeah.
For the most part.
For the most part. Actually, at this point, everybody.
Yep.
Everybody. With Aunt Chris.
Well, at this point, yeah, but at
this point,
yeah.
But originally,
but growing up, I'm talking about in the early days. So, my Aunt Kelly, which would be Josh's mom, came up here first.
Yes.
And then my Aunt Kim followed her up here.
Yes.
With her, 3 daughters?
3 daughters. Yeah.
3 daughters. Yep. And then my mom followed. I think it was either my mom or Aunt Karen. We couldn't remember exactly which one it was, but my mom followed up here. And actually, when we first moved up here, we lived with Josh and his family because we had nothing. We literally moved up here with nothing. And so that's my first staple point in this field is that we have a very unique family. We have a family that I guess, I mean, I know that there's a lot of people whose families are close. I think you would be surprised I think we could probably go toe to toe with any large family as far as how close we all are.
Pretty unique.
Yeah. It definitely isn't something that's very common, especially today.
Family members take care of, bring in and raise other people in the family.
Right.
Right. Kathy.
Yeah, we adopt people, and
you guys lived with us, and then.
Yeah. Aunt Karen lived with us, when Uncle Tim was deployed. So it's just we have this very unique thing. So this Saturday, which this episode will be airing well before then. So this Saturday is my grandparents' 30th anniversary. Mm-hmm. And in the other take, we went through a little bit of how our grandparents, like a little bit of the backstory on that. Long story short with it is that my grandma Joyce, who is my mom's mom and Josh's mom's mom, had 5 daughters. She passed away from lung cancer when Josh was about 2 or younger.
Yeah, I think I was just under 2. It was in 92, but before my birthday, yeah.
And then, my grandfather remarried after that. And this was also before I was born. So my grandma Joyce passed away before, our grandma Joyce passed away before I was born.
He remarried in 92 before, I think she died in 90 or 91. He remarried in 92. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry for the mix-up.
No, it's all good. So then, my grandfather got remarried, again, before I was born. I was born in 93. So grandpa got remarried, and my grandma Patty, who is my grandpa's wife, and him are celebrating their 30th anniversary this Saturday, which is fucking incredible.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's incredible, man. It's a great story, and I love that. I've said it multiple times, maybe not on the podcast, but just like, now
in
having
general.
a family member here, like, I don't know how we got so hooked up. It's like such a unique situation. Also, nobody's ever met our family and there's been shy. We've had all different types of, because our family just adopts people in too.
Yeah,
you know what I
the
mean?
day you come in, you're part of the family.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
I kind of disagree with.
There's been a couple people. There's been a couple people that maybe didn't deserve. But again, dude, that's
that
the
was
strength.
our family. You come in and it was.
Because then you
who
think
are
about
what do
someone.
you do, but it was all fun and it was actually trying to get to know those people,
Right.
and not trying to scare them and emotionally or verbally beat them out of the family.
Right. And then a
scare
good
'em
example
away.
of that is our Aunt Laura. So our Aunt Laura was dating a guy before she met my Uncle Frank, which wasn't a great fit for her. He wasn't necessarily treating her the way that she should be treated. And then but we treated him like family.
Pretty well.
We treated him like family, And then, you find out everything behind closed doors after they break up, and you find out all these things, and you're like, oh man, that really sucks. And then she brings our Uncle Frank over, and Uncle Frank is now everybody's favorite uncle. Like Frank and Laura are everybody. I think.
Well, I think you and I have more of a personal relationship. With
Oh,
Uncle
for
Frank
sure.
growing up, because
For sure.
I mean,
because we babysat his kids for him.
Yeah.
We were at that age
well, not
where
only
we could.
that, but I love my dad. Full respect to my dad. Shout out to my dad. Uncle Frank taught me the patience of things that my
Right.
dad, I wouldn't say didn't have, but wasn't consistent in. All mechanical work, working on cars and stuff. That was Uncle Frank. I was
Right.
over there almost every week because something was wrong with my car.
Right.
And he would spend we would
All
spend
day.
hours
All day. He'd cook you
outside.
lunch and then cook you dinner.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's
Yeah.
such an old school thing to do.
And then it was all fun and games
sure.
until he asked us to go up there and help him with his car when we
Right.
pulled out the transmission or the engine for the El Camino. We had to replace the oil pan gasket.
Yeah.
So I mean, you get out what you put into it.
Right. Right.
Grew up in the 70s,
Dude, yeah, Uncle Frank is, and again, you've met him. He's been to our shows. He's just that dude, man.
He will bail you out of jail, no question.
Yeah,
asked.
so that's a good example. So my dad actually had a rule with me because there was a point in time in junior high and early in high school where I was getting into a lot of trouble. And my dad told me, hey, man, just so you know, if you ever get arrested, don't call me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit. Then you have Uncle Frank. He's like, hey, man, if you ever get arrested,
You
call me. Memorize my number. Make sure you have it.
Yeah.
I will come and get you.
Nice.
Because it's, again, we come from and I think, it's a good thing overall, but we come from I would say, a pretty strict family. All of our aunts are willing to
That's cool.
beat the shit out of all of their nephews.
a whole support net there.
Yeah,
You have
our
every
family-
kind of person, which is super good.
Our family is literally the family that will beat the love into you.
Yeah. It was
in
it's
a
one of
weird
those
way.
things where so here's a good example. I used to live with Josh when we first moved up here and everything like that. you know, my dad was working, I think, 2 jobs at the time. My mom was working still down in Beaumont, so she was commuting back and forth
And that was
for
even
her
before
job.
she went to school.
Yeah, and that was before she went to school. Yep. You know, there were plenty of times where my Aunt Kelly was feeding all 6 boys.
Yeah.
You know, because 3 boys on my mom and dad's side and 3 boys on their side. So it's like there was a point in time where my Aunt Kelly was solely responsible for cooking dinner, and then vice versa, where my mom was responsible for cooking. So it got to the point to where, like, when it came to like discipline, we all got disciplined the same. It was
all
universal. Like, and that's with all my family. So like, I wouldn't, because I lived with Aunt Kim for a while too when our house was in escrow.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, Aunt Kim like put the fear of God into me a couple times. Not Uncle Rick. Uncle Rick's so chill, but like Aunt Kim put the fear
Uncle
of
Rick was
God
the one
into me.
laughing as Aunt Kim was yelling at you.
Yeah, dude. Like, she put the fear of God into me as much as my own mom and my own dad did. Like, I was just as afraid of all my, and not like afraid, but I revered all of my aunts the same as I revered my mom.
Well, because our
like,
parents gave our aunts permission.
Yeah, it
to
was like,
spank us
smack
and
him.
discipline us.
What do you
and
say to you? Smack him. Yeah, that was like my dad's whole thing was like, what did he say to
pop
you?
him.
Smack him.
Yeah, pop him.
Like, I'll hit him if you want to, but like, you should get the honors to do this. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of how our family was. Like,
village to beat the village.
bro, straight up, our family is the example of like, it takes a village.
That's
like,
hilarious.
and it was universal among, because, you know, I don't remember if we were talking about it in the last take and if we've gotten into it with this take, but like, we all lived with each other at one point or another. Like, your mom, did you know this? Your mom is at my mom's house right now.
Yeah,
Because they're coming up for the anniversary party.
Yeah, she came in today, and then she's staying. I talked to her yesterday, and then she's staying in.
And then your dad will be there Thursday.
He'll be here.
Yep.
He's flying
He's
into Palm
coming
Springs.
in Thursday. Yep.
Yeah,
so it's like, that's how our family is, dude. Like, it's literally like amazing. We all lived with each other. We are all that's why all 75 of us, like, I haven't, you know, I'm closer with some than with others, but I have a multiple stories to tell you about every cousin that I have. Like, we've just all been in that.
That's good.
You know?
So cool.
It's crazy, bro. That's it's one of those things where it's like, that's what I was saying earlier, and we didn't understand that other people had it differently. Like, we had no, because of just how common it was.
That's actually like super trippy that you guys were like.
Yep. I didn't know what a dysfunctional household was until
actually when we started like making our own friends and.
Yeah, until we started like.
When it came into my mind.
Because
I was like, oh, this does happen outside of movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, again, because
it's not rare at all. Like,
and your family's like close too.
You get that like the Simpsons like dome over like
for sure
a tight family. So
for
like,
sure. Yeah, because I know that because I've been to a couple of your family gatherings and like. Those are fun too.
Yeah,
like, and
it's got to feel the same ish. You
yeah,
know?
like because you have your aunts and your uncles and like things like when we shot the music video, your aunt was house sitting from the time that we weren't there.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
So it's like it's one of those things where it's like it's not that families don't have that. It's more so that just ours was in such a large magnitude.
Yeah,
like,
which is the cool part.
Yeah, it made it to where like I was talking about it on when we had Adam on. What was that? 2 nights ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we had Adam on a couple nights ago, I was talking about it. And it was like, it was one of those things where, fuck, I already forgot where I was going with this. Son of a bitch. I hate when I do that, dude, because I think it's CTE, bro. I've gotten like
you did play
too many.
A lot of football.
Dude, I had 6 concussions by the time I was a freshman in high school. Yeah. Like, so like, but anyways, I was talking to Adam about our family and things like that. And it's like one of those things where I don't know, like it's we're very blessed is like kind of just the bottom line. Like we are very, very blessed to come, like, you know, on Saturday, like I can't tell you how excited I am to go and see.
Oh, yeah.
Cause we have, it's going to be big. It's going to be a big event and there's going to be a lot of cousins coming up.
The only one that as of right now that I know of that isn't coming is obviously Richard and Crystal. Love you guys.
Yeah, we miss you guys. They're up in Idaho.
Yeah, because they
are Jeff and Ricky going to be there?
I don't know. Like I said, to my knowledge, the only ones that I know of is Richard and Crystal.
Okay, I know Christy's coming.
Is she?
Yeah, Christy's coming. I'm super stoked.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm super stoked to see her. But, you know, aside from that, you know, to break off of that type of stuff, like Josh and I come from a very, very like, so some of my earliest memories and things like that are hanging out with Josh. You know, we lived together when I was 10 years old. You were what, like 12 or 13?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, you're like 12 or 13. And, you know, we had Josh's younger brother, Ryan, who was also in our age group. And it was just...
Ryan were born in the same year.
Yeah,
You were
yeah. He
born
was in
November.
January. I was in November. So, you know, I was telling. That's what it was, dude. I remembered. Boom, connected it. So
It's not
I was
16.
telling Adam that when we first moved up here, because remember when I lived in Beaumont, I had one friend, and he lived
what was
across the
his name,
street,
Buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one friend that lived across the street from me. Yes, I had a friend named Buddy.
That was legit.
I'll tell you off the air.
Okay, okay, fair enough.
Legit.
Yeah,
That's legit as
I had
hell.
one friend. I only talked to one kid when I lived in Beaumont, and then when we moved up to Yucca, I was telling Adam that like that you guys, all of my cousins, were the reasons that like I got acclimated to this area, and like that I got, you know, kind of accustomed to becoming more social. And I think it had a big part to do with who I am now, because I feel like if we would have stayed in Beaumont, or if we would have moved somewhere else, I don't know that I become as social as I am now. And I don't know if I become as comfortable talking to people as I am now, because every single birthday party that you got invited to, or that Ryan got invited to, or that Ashley, or that Kelly, and just name a cousin, I would get invited to, and I would be like, oh, I don't know anybody. And they'd be like, no, but you know me, it's okay. We can do this. Like, it's cool. You know, so,
My dad just dropped me off at this is my friend's kid's house.
Yeah.
On birthdays, I'd be like, I don't even like Barbies.
yeah, dude, like,
The level of like reassurance.
dude, it was so nice. It was so nice to be able to come up here and have my cousins,
know
who I was used to already being around all the fucking time, even when we lived in Beaumont.
Because you gotta remember, like, even before that point, we'd only see each other 3 times a year.
Not really. No, I
If that,
disagree. I
like,
disagree.
Easter-
Because here's the thing. When we lived in Beaumont, your mom would drive her ass down when both of my parents were working and make us clean the house. So, like, I saw all of you guys. Remember when your mom would bring you guys over and make us clean the house all together?
I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah. Dude, your mom
That
would
was
show up
miserable.
from Joshua Tree, drive down to Beaumont, yell at Anthony and Ray and myself and you and Ryan and Richard, and she would make us clean my parents' entire fucking house because my mom was stressed. Because my mom probably called her and was like, I'm so stressed out. The house is dirty. My boys are a menace. Like, we were wild. So my Aunt Kelly would drive down, make us clean the entire house, scrub the toilets, wash, like, dude, like, deep clean, get the grout, like, all 6 of us. It wasn't, and again, she'd bring her own kids for labor too. So she'd get Josh, Ryan, and Richard. Yep. Dude,
Free
for real.
labor.
She would literally get Josh, Ryan, and Richard and be like, we're going to Beaumont today. And they would drive down, and like she would stay the night with all of, remember, that's where all the N64 007
Yeah.
stuff came from. Like,
GoldenEye.
Well, that's really cool. Jeez.
yeah, dude.
Like-
So like we've had that like very disciplined, just like, I don't know, our family's weird because they all are very like-minded, and like they again, it takes a village, and they like took that shit super seriously because they all had kids. They all had a bunch of kids, and we were all just super fucking close. Family football games.
Or
Dude, do
softball
you
games.
remember those? Yeah, the
Softball.
softball games. Like, we would literally just go. My grandparents lived in Mariloma, and they had like a big grass backyard, and we'd make a football field out of that, and then walk to like the corner of their street, and they had
sack.
a big ass like school and like
Yeah, it was
softball field
elementary
there.
school.
So we would just jump like
It was
get in there.
probably
That's like a 1970s childhood.
it was like 2 baseball fields and a football field. In,
Yeah.
Yeah, one plot.
And we would just compete. All of us. We would just
Flag football, soccer, softball, football.
we did everything.
Yeah.
We had, like you were saying, it was a very old school like 70s way to grow up. Like, and like, so when we moved up here and I got the opportunity to start making friends, and I started like hanging out with people that my cousins were hanging out with, a lot of my childhood friends came from at least like my first summer up here, came from just kids that my cousins knew, which was like so cool that you guys like kind of paved that, you know. And then
Well,
we
like, because you kind of need it, right?
Yeah.
Like, coming up here, it's like, you know, you're not even you're preteen, and you're going, you know, as with everyone else goes through this, you know, going to a new school, and I think I talked about it in the intro a little bit, the cultural diversity, like having to get to like, how am I gonna be able to talk to people? How am I gonna be able to meet new friends? Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, Beaumont is not even an hour away from here. The, you know, people, you know, between here and there can be completely different.
Oh, that's.
no, I'm talking
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I was like, oh, the audio's okay.
No, I'm glad that everything's
Travis
good.
had a mini panic attack.
Yeah, no, we're good. I'm so sorry. Continue.
But, you know, not even an hour away from each other, you know, the kids up here are completely different.
Yeah, no, it's an
I
entire
mean,
like the weather changes your entire
The
behavior.
weather and just even like the area and the atmosphere here. I mean, not literally the atmosphere, but as far as the social groups and, you know, even
Agreed.
yeah,
It's
back
very
then,
divided.
even back then compared to now, honestly, hasn't changed that much, honestly, because the people that we grew up with and the friends that we had, they all maybe have, most of them probably have kids now. It's all this pretty much the same attitude, no matter where you go.
Yeah,
It's-
dynamic really doesn't change
It's the
until
cultural
like
diversity of people who come out here from different countries, and they move here or they tour here for long periods of time,
Right.
and then you get to talk to them, and it's like, you know, some of that attitude and that social aspect kind of comes in, and it changes a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, really, it's, you know, getting it started to find new people and friends. But honestly, out here, it's one of those things, when you find people and you get along with them and you get to know them, it's pretty much lifelong.
Right.
Like, really,
For sure.
You guys know by personal experience, unless something like drastically happens negatively, I mean, you're pretty much there for life, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah, it is one of those things. We got I think it was like a right place, right time thing, right? So like we had the right amount of people, so like our family was already super close, and then we moved to a place that forces you to be close and forces you, because like it's a small town, everybody knows everybody. So I used to have the joke in high school where it was just like, yeah, name somebody, I bet you I know somebody, like I bet you one of my cousins knows them, or like I bet you I'm either related to them.
2 handshakes from Kevin Bacon.
Dude, one handshake from any member of my family in this town.
you ever play that?
100%. Like,
Yeah.
think about, like, Adam. He knows Uncle Richard. He knows his dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just one handshake away from just like, oh, yeah, you've met somebody who I'm related to.
You ever
Yeah.
play that celebrity game where you name 2 different actors or actresses and you relate them to people that they've worked with? in,
And
like,
it's always
different-
Kevin Bacon.
So yeah, so it was
Yeah,
like
it's
that,
the
but
12
out here
degrees.
with people like, oh, how can you trace this friend to that friend? It's like, oh, well, I know this person who knows this person who knows
Right.
this person who knows him. And
I
it's
hate
like,
that so much. Please never do that again.
Yeah,
So
I
mean,
agree.
It's just, but you get what I'm saying.
No, I do. I get what you're saying.
I'm kidding.
But yeah, so a little bit more on the family aspect. You know, I wanted to mention this because it's like, okay, so all of our cousins are going to listen to this, right? They're going to find out that we did a podcast together. We're going to send the link out. I'm going to make you pump it just like I pump it, just like he pumps it. And all of our cousins are going to end up listening to this. Pump it. Louder. Oh, dude, look at how chunky that wave was. I really got into that pump it. Anyways, you know, our cousins are, or at least a lot of our cousins are going to listen to this. So I don't want to, I'm going to tread lightly here because I love all of them very much. But like, there are 3 or 4 of you guys that I'm like really, really, really close with. Like to the point to where like most of our cousins.
For some reason, I thought you were gonna call one out. Like,
No.
I was gonna say, dude,
No,
I was like,
no,
what's
no,
going
no,
on
no.
there?
Never.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
No,
No,
it's not
never
like
that, never that.
not like
But there's 4 different cousins that I have that I could live with. I think I could, maybe even less, to be honest.
I can probably guess them.
Well, obviously you're number one because I live with you.
0.
No, like there are 0 cousins I can live with. Meanwhile, I'm just like crashing.
Home's gonna be a lot.
Super awkward. So yeah, there's 3 or 4 of you that I'm close enough with to be able to be like, okay, yeah, I would be 100% comfortable. Now, it's not to say that I wouldn't bring them into my home if they needed help or anything like that, which was the case.
Yeah,
Right,
clear.
which was the case in you know, a lot of our family situations where it's just like, hey guys, like we don't
I'd say
necessarily want
almost
this,
all of 'em.
but there are like a couple that I would like literally be like, oh yeah, dude, we could be roommates. Obviously, you're number one because we fucking live together. Like I did do that. I came to you and I said, hey man,
You do be doing that.
I Scooby Dooby. I'm wearing the Scooby Dooby socks, dude.
Yes.
I Scooby Dooby doing that, dude.
Yeah.
Do. I'm hitting the soundboard that isn't set up yet.
No air horns.
But yeah, so there, you know, I think that aside from us being like related and stuff like that, like it's very important to me that I don't know that like the family aspect of things is very, very rare, but I feel like you and I would be friends outside of that anyways.
I think
Because of how many situations we've like, let's say that our moms aren't related, like you and I would be friends anyways.
that's exactly right.
If we both ended up in Joshua Tree, you and I were gonna end up being friends.
Oh, absolutely.
Like 100%. And so, yeah, it's just like it's super funny because when we get into the whole family aspect of things, it's like holy shit,
Yeah,
fucking
we can literally go on for days
about it.
at least days.
Bunch of stories about it. But we won't do that. And what we're going to do is actually talk about you in your career path. We're going to talk about you in, you know, a light that isn't just the whole, you're my cousin, so let's talk about it type thing.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to your job, you are a wildland firefighter.
That is my specialty as of now.
What are your full qualifications here? Koala. I have a koala.
What are your full koala-fications? Mean a koala noise.
Koala. Insert koala noise here.
I don't know. I think they just...
Wretched. Yeah, so what's your list? What's going on?
Oh God.
He's a big 5 extraordinaire.
Are you talking just by like certifications? Are you talking because there's
Just like what's your like general portfolio? So you specialize in wild land. So like what's the broad range of that?
everything? So working with the department that I work with, we are all risk department, which means anything that you call 911 for, more 99% of the time we're going to be there. So, you know.
So if it was like a Canadian unit, it's the full send denim jacket guys.
Canadian.
You know, like that. There's like that Canadian
I'll say
guy
this,
who has the.
within the state of California.
I
I'm not
don't
sure if I
know.
understand the question here, but
It's this guy who backflips. Yeah, he's all full send.
Also, yeah, I'm
Yep.
just gonna send it.
yep.
What is
those
that
guys.
dude's name? Hold on, I'll find it for you right now.
Those guys.
No.
Absolutely those guys.
I promise.
Absolutely those guys.
Just gonna send it.
So anyways, so we are considered all risk. So medical aids, structure fires, hazmat fires or spills, water rescues, high angle rescues, low angle rescues, confined space rescues, vehicle fires, anything you can think of. Cat in the tree.
What's your most like mundane save or action? And what's your most heroic one that you've like ever done under that umbrella?
Ooh. So
let's-
that's a good question.
What's the cat under the tree?
So the only reason why I'm interjecting here is there was a pretty intense call that you were involved with
Are you
that I
talking
don't
about
know
the
if
one
you're
over by-
allowed. I don't know if you're allowed to talk
The one
about.
over by the elementary school.
No. I'm talking about the one that you were on last season.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But I don't know if that's your most intense one.
that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
I can talk about it. However, I'm going to talk about it from my perspective. So anytime Go ahead.
Terms, your perspective.
Okay. Yeah, from my so anytime before I start talking about it, anytime there's an incident like this, we have what are called blue sheets and green sheets. Blue sheets are anytime there's a major injury to a firefighter or first responder on an incident, large scale or small scale. And then there's green sheets where there has been a firefighter fatality or a first responder fatality in the incident. It's brought on by the U.S. Forest Service, which is a department of the Department of Agriculture. So I can talk about it. I will talk about from my perspective. There is a green sheet out because it was a firefighter fatality. So I've been trying to find it, and I can't. So if I can find it, I'll give it to you guys. You guys can give it a read, but it's pretty long. The 𝙿𝚘𝚒 fire in 2020, I was on a division where we were doing a burning operation, and a firefighter had lost his life on that.
Right.
So we were doing... So best way I can describe it is the main fire, or the head of the fire, was coming up the front side of the mountain of the San Bernardino National Forest, and it had come back down through Mill Creek and Mountain Home, crossed Highway 38, and back into the community of Angeles Oaks. We were doing some structure protection, which means we were going in there and we were limbing up trees. We were moving fuel, or we call it fuel, but
Basically
patio
trying to cut the
furniture.
fire
We were
off,
trying
correct?
to minimize the fire load
Right.
on and around the house, so if the fire does happen to pass, it'll still burn, but it'll burn with low intensity
And
the
with
risk of
direction too. You guys can kind of like try
we can navigate. We can do our best to try and redirect where the fire's going, but in my many experiences, fire's going to do what fire wants to do.
What are the methods you do for that?
So there's a lot of different things. So we can
clear line is a big one, right?
So being on a hand crew, we actually cut lines. So anytime
Is that the most hardcore form of prevention?
I wouldn't say the most, because each part of the job that we do, there is a lot of hardcore things that. So I think just being a firefighter in general is hard. Now what we do is pretty tough. I mean, we're talking sometimes we have to hike 3 or 4 miles just to get where we're going to start, which means we park the bus, we get everything that we need, and we hike for 3 or 4 miles before we actually start working. And we can be working, we work 24-hour shifts. So we can hike 3 or 4 miles, get to where we need to start, and then work all night long, which I have done many times. It's a lot
Fucking
of work.
sucks, yeah.
Huh?
I mean, it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like for the average person. I mean, if you obviously you enjoy what you do, and
I love it. So
right.
There's that, and then there's also, so you also have the engine guys. The engine guys, they're carrying 2 rolls of hose. You have 3 guys per engine. So standard wildland engine that you see putting out fire, they carry around 1,300 feet, and sometimes you got to go 2 miles with hose.
Yeah.
So that means 2 or 3 people, they get hose, they stretch all that out, and then once they run out, they have to go back to the engine. They get more hose. They have to walk back to where they stop.
So, situations like that being said, you were mentioning earlier, the mental tax of being, heavier than the physical one.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to imagine when you'd be, running that amount of distance with a hose,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's insane. So I'm not taking away from anything that any other firefighter has done, because in a generalization, if you think about it, we're just one giant department.
Right.
Doesn't matter if it's a local department, a government department, a state department, or even a private department.
Right.
We're all...
sorry, did I cut you off?
No.
You good?
I was just going to say, we're all trying to achieve the same goal.
Yeah,
Right.
you all have independent and particular valid struggles as
Yes.
well, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing I remember, living at your house or whatever, was, I don't remember who it was that was talking to your dad, but we had one of our like little family cookouts at your house before it was remodeled and everything like that. Like Sweeters was there. You know what I mean? That's how long ago this was. Sweeters is Josh's childhood dog, just so you guys know.
Rest in peace, Sweeters.
Yes. But I remember one of the aunts or one of the uncles was talking to your dad, and he was kind of describing some of the stuff that he had done in his last shift, like running hose and like doing all that stuff. And this was before your dad was an engineer too. So like he's talking about it, and I don't remember which uncle or aunt it was, but they were like, oh, it kind of sounds like some of the stuff that the military does. And your dad was like, yeah, but the difference is I get to come home to my family every 4 days. Or every 3 like I spend 4 days or 3 days with my family and 4 days working, but like I get to come home every time.
Super dangerous. What's like, how much less dangerous is it than getting shot at? Like, that's still super crazy.
Probably depends on the fire.
Yeah,
because like
in a general field, like military versus firefighting, like what's the crazier mortality rate? Because it still feels drastic. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty intense, man.
It's pretty.
He's dealt with some shit. Like,
for real. That's why I'm curious, because like that's some real shit, and firefighters, like, that's hard, and they go out a lot, I guess, would be a gentle way to put it.
Yeah, and they're still away. Again, they spend 3 nights, like, because you're 4 on 3 off, right? When
opposite.
not doing overtime. Oh, okay. 3 on 4
off.
Yeah, okay. So 3 on 4 off.
And I'm on vacation right now, so I'm 11 off right now.
Yeah, but like again, so like a good example of that is when fire season started this year. I didn't see this motherfucker for weeks.
Yeah, we wanted to do this a long time ago, like
was
this interview.
So this is.
And last year was even worse.
Last year was
horrific.
Doozy. Yeah. I don't know.
He spent 3 months away without seeing his wife or
straight.
Yeah, straight. 90 days.
On coming back.
95 days straight.
What was that? What fire was that?
That wasn't a fire.
What was that?
It was a staffing pattern. So.
Whoa.
Yeah. So a staffing pattern pretty much holds everybody on duty due to a shortage of either equipment, personnel, or both. So last year we had, I believe it was the August complex fire burned over. I think we can fact check this later if we can, or I can even look it up. I believe it was the one that burned over 1 million acres.
Oh, yeah. There was a big one.
So that was the big one from last year. Not to take away from a lot of the other fires that we had. I'll put it this way. I was at work for 3 months straight, and probably 3 weeks of that was spent on a fire line. Between
so you were mostly just doing
I was mostly at work. They pretty much said like, hey, we're strapped on resources and you guys aren't going home. That's pretty much what that 3 months was.
It was like a chaos mosaic.
It was not.
It's like being in the reserves and being called to duty, but staying at a camp like 100 miles away from the actual
less than
thing.
2 hours away from my house.
Yeah, that shit sucks. And like, it's one of those things where it's like, do you think that there's flaws in the sense of like, do you think it could be ran better? Like, if last year we had the
absolutely,
like,
because there was there were other areas of the state, I'll say that, so with, and I know what we talked about earlier, I'm not getting political here or anything.
No, you're good.
With Gavin Newsom,
I did that to protect you, bro.
Yeah,
not for us. We're fine. You talk about whatever you want, but like, Gavin I gave you the briefing before.
Introduced a bill that would. Oh, thank you, brother. That would.
You're the man.
Release.
Dude.
That would release.
My heart. It's so good.
Prisoners with minor crimes, so non-violent crimes.
Yeah.
So. That a lot of the inmate crews, fire crews that you see, they're in there for petty theft. They're in there for breaking and entering. It's nonviolent crimes. So when Gavin Newsom brought in this bill and gave early release to these inmates with nonviolent crimes, it dropped the the number of fire crews we had, because that was 80-90% of the fire crews at the time.
Right.
So to combat that, it was up to each area of the state to run. They were given more money through their budget to run firefighter ones or seasonals as the hand crews. And so during that time last year, during that 3 months, other areas of the state were like, hey, so this is going to go on for a while. So each crew is going to rotate. We're going to do, I think it was, I can't say for certain, but from what I've heard, it was like 4 or 5 days on shift, and then you go home 2 or 3 days, and then you come back and, because we have multiple crews in each area of the state. So you'd have 3 crews on for 4 or 5 days, and then 1 or 2 crews go home, and then when they come on, the crew that's been on the longest, they go home for 2 or 3. So they were cycling in and getting that time off, whereas I was at work.
Yeah.
And
90 days straight.
90 days.
Fucking, was I there during that time? No, that was before I moved in.
You came in.
Yeah, I came in 2021.
Because we got off that October 10th or 11th, and I think you came in and
The day that will forever live in infamy.
yeah,
The best day of Josh's life.
I think you came in November or December.
That makes sense.
Or
I think it was
maybe
November. No, it was November.
Maybe it was while I was.
No, because
wait,
my
no,
last
that was
birthday.
Wind season.
Yep.
Yeah, not.
Yeah, because my
November for
last
sure.
birthday I had at your house.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
So it was November.
It had to have been
It was
November.
right, but it was like I think it was like a week before my birthday. That I
Yeah,
moved in.
so it was like around. I think it was around Halloween, because I think that Bella actually started decorating for Halloween. She had all.
Oh, okay.
So
That makes sense. Yeah.
So we'll say November, but
Yeah.
So yeah,
Bella never stops decorating
I
for
think-
Halloween. That shit. Hold on, like that. That
Year-round.
needs to be. Yeah. It's a
Year-round.
year-round holiday for her.
no chill.
But
But yeah, I think it could have been. Now, no disrespect to the overhead, because they're they're doing the best with what they have, as all of us trying to be at work and trying to handle the aspect of work. I'm not taking away from the overhead. I'm not taking away from the decisions and the positions that they were put in to for what we had overall and at the end.
right.
But do I think it could have been handled better? I think so.
Yeah.
And
For sure. And you're allowed to think that way.
yeah,
Like obviously.
and I think it would have generally improved the whole attitude of not only my crew but the rest of the crews in general. Because
Right.
I mean, you're stuck with the same people for 3 months,
Right.
And that even when I come home even if I'm home for 1 day, I come home in the morning like, yeah, I got to do my laundry and come home, leave for work in the morning. That 1 day makes all the
difference. For
All
sure.
the
It's a
difference.
recharge.
Yeah.
You're in your own bed. You're in
So-
your own fucking like element at that point. And I've seen that too. So like it's kind of funny. So and this actually segues pretty well into like one of the things I wanted to talk about, which is like your dad is obviously a very accomplished firefighter. One of the best, bro. He's one of the goats. I mean, he served
Sure.
what over
20, I think
he
his
retired in November of this year.
last year.
Last year, rather.
I mean, technically, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but like, yeah, he retired last November.
I think with his retirement, it put him at 22 years just with the department. That doesn't include the 10 years that he spent working on the base. So that's a different aspect, because for a federal civilian department, for what my dad did, your minimum for retirement is 10 years.
Right.
And I think he did 11 or 12. And then he came over to, I'm just going to say, Cal Fire, and was hired in, I want to say, 2000 or 2001, and then retired last year. So with his retirement, with all the state time that he cashed out or whatever, it put him at about 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like
I could be wrong.
no,
Could be
but
22,
no,
23, but
your
over
dad
20
has
years.
been a firefighter for as
Uh,
long as I can remember.
Since
Like,
85.
wow.
since 85, because 85 or 87, because Richard, you got to remember, Richard had already been born when he was working with Banning City. He was already born.
What year was Richard born?
89.
Ah.
So he was probably 2.5 when my parents moved up here and lived up here.
Right.
I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, I mean, that's where I was going. He's been in the fire service in general since the late 80s. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So.
And he's been, again, he retired as an engineer or captain? Captain. Good for him. I've said it. I think I said it on the last take, but I'll say it again. Like, your dad has earned. If there's anybody who's earned his retirement, it's your dad. Like, he's
and it's
loves
not an
firefighting.
easy thing. You got to remember all the people who, and full respect. I mean, honestly, the people I respect just as much, if not more, than the people who retire of it are the people who came in and did it and put their hands up, said, "This isn't for me. I can't do this." It takes more of a person to come out and admit when they know their limits.
Right.
And like I said, just as much respect to those people.
Dude, that's just stepping away from your ego and understanding that, understanding.
Because think about the pressure. I mean, this is what I chose to provide for my family. This is what I chose. No one forced me to do it. My dad was a big part in me wanting to do this. So I've always loved helping people. I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to give back to the community. And unfortunately, sometimes it sucks. You feel that you give more than what was put into you. You give back to the community so much more than the community has put into you.
Right.
And that's a thing that's kind of unfortunate, because it's like a secret identity to me. I don't, some people do it, and I don't think it's right, but some people parade the fact that they're a firefighter. Like, oh, I'm a fire, here's my badge, here's, whatever I have. And, I'm not like that. So, I'm out in town.
It's cool because, like, it's a noble path, and to be humble about it is that much better. I feel like,
Being humble is definitely a big key in it, and that's exactly what it is. But I love helping people, and to those people who are like, I'm gonna try it. It looks interesting. David Goggins did that after all
David
his,
Goggins,
he talks about it after he got out of the military and everything. He went and joined a hotshot crew. I forgot what state. I don't want to get that.
What is that? What is that?
So hotshot is pretty much the same thing that I do, but it's with the feds. So U.S. Forest Service, BLM, state parks. And let me tell you something about hotshots. They put their ass to work. Those guys, what makes them a hotshot crew, I can't give a complete definition just because I don't know exactly, but they have different qualifications. They have different certifications. They have to meet different standards in order to qualify as hotshots. So we're not hotshots.
Is that something you get invited to, or can you apply?
You can apply. Anybody can apply. Yeah, it's just
that's like that. I kind of like that about the fire service, because like there obviously are like tests that you have to pass in order to become. But no, it's not. You can do it.
You earn your worth.
I think and
you can take it as far as you want.
Yeah.
You can literally just like you could be a volunteer fireman. Like that's literally a thing you can do. You can be a volunteer fireman.
Volunteer firefighter for 5.5 years.
You have to do that, don't you?
No.
Right?
No. You don't. Nope.
No, he did it for the love of the fucking game, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
Josh is. Yeah.
So it wasn't full volunteer. We still got paid. But it was only hours worked. So, me being a volunteer firefighter, if I was at the station, if I was doing a ride out,
No
for
pay.
full 24 hours, and we didn't
No downtime was paid.
no.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, no downtime was paid.
The full 24 hours, if we didn't get anything, I was doing it because I wanted to be there. I wanted to learn.
It's a ride out.
But
It's a ride out. Yeah.
So, but the people that I worked with, the captains, especially the chiefs and the engineers and stuff, they made sure we didn't go home empty-handed.
Right.
So anytime we rode out as volunteers, we would do something, some kind of training, some kind of.
When did you start like doing that? Like,
I was hired as a PCF, paid call firefighter, which was their volunteer department, with San Bernardino County in 2012. 2011, 2012.
cool. Wow.
Yeah, he's like savage with it, bro.
Nice.
Yeah,
He's like
so if
savage
we're talking
cool.
full fire service from when
Him
I
and Savicle actually came up together.
yeah,
Yeah, it was about the same time. Huh?
it was
Yeah.
the same
They
time.
were like in Explorers at the
I
same
think I
time.
started maybe a couple years before him.
Nerds.
I think I started a couple years before
Wow,
him.
that's
but we-
cool. That's cool.
But I knew him in high school, even well, no, not junior high, but high school. But we were in the same, pretty much every. We go back to that small community.
Why does everything root back to Stevens?
Because he's a fucking
Because
ginger
Everybody
demon,
knows. Shout
bro.
out to Stephen Levy, man.
Steven,
Hoping you're doing
dude,
well.
we gave him a shout out on the. Did he hit you up? Because he hit me up. Yeah. He hit me up after the last episode we did without him. He's all, "Hey, I heard you guys shout out. I love you guys so much.
Yeah.
Like,
Love
thank
you,
you,
Steven.
Yeah,
Hope
we
you're
love
doing
you so
well.
much, dude. Again, I'm gonna text him after we get off air, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, man, you got another shout out. Congratulations."
You guys were asking kids to harass him.
Oh yeah. Harass Steven and you get stickers.
I'm not part of that, Steven.
Follow at the Spawned One on Instagram and message him and just call him a ginger.
Yep.
The Speakeasy wants you.
Yep, you get Speakeasy Studios.
I have no
We'll give you some merch.
I
Yeah,
have-
we'll give you merch.
I have no part affiliation with Speakeasy.
No, this is directly related to us.
He's gonna get it.
Directly the Speakeasy. Josh is not.
Yeah, you don't
Thanks,
speak easy,
Travis.
brother.
Anyways,
I'll
sorry for the
keep that.
sidetrack.
I'll keep that in mind next time you need help with something.
Okay, so but anyways, yeah. So you got into this type of volunteer firefighter work
13.
because you were an explorer. I was an explorer for a short amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
and then I said fuck that. But also you have to remember our cousin Jeff was one of my teachers in that, and he was a really great teacher. But like I got it so much harder than a lot of those kids did.
Yeah,
It was
'cause
relentless. Because he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he knew if it was anyone outside of our parents and aunts and uncles and stuff. If it was anybody who knew your potential and how to push you, it was Jeff.
Yeah. Well, I ended up not doing it anymore because
No.
I was like, dude, Jeff just like literally.
He shit on me.
No, it wasn't that he did that. What he did was he showed me and told me what it was like to actually deal with.
The things
I was going into it as like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I could stay at a station and, like,
Cool
kind of
story,
bullshit.
yeah,
It was like one of those things where it's like, yeah, I could see myself doing this, and Jeff was like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Like you're just not cut out for it. Like, and he didn't say that to me directly, but like in the way that he trained
It's
me.
important that it was implied.
Yeah,
you know?
he kind of showed me the other side of it.
Yeah.
He didn't even like try to steer me away from it. He just kind of showed me what like
it's
the
a lot of work.
the real thing was, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I think that like I don't know if he did do it with that intent, then he's as smart as I know he is. That's why I have the theory of he was like, oh no, it's not really cut out for you, and he showed me that in his own way, in like a very loving way.
Yeah.
So
But honestly, and that's what we go back to as far as, full respect, just as much, if not more, to the people who give it a try and try to do it and trying to find. I wouldn't say even trying to find their place in life, just trying to find a career path.
No, yeah.
That that
not
works for
everybody
them.
wants to be a doctor.
And
It's totally chill,
some
so.
the people that throw their hands up and like, I don't feel I'm cut out for it. Like, this isn't me. I appreciate the opportunity and the time and the effort.
Yeah, that's cool. I know people that tried it and then they're happier in their life path. now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So,
I'm
I'm
best of
glad that
wishes
would
to them.
either way. That's like really good discipline and lessons
Honestly,
to
if
learn.
I wasn't doing what I was doing now, I probably would have gone to a trade school and probably would have been like a welder or a lineman.
Fabrication's dope.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
thing about me, especially growing up, and Eli can attest to this as to everything else. Growing up, I was manual labor, so I'm good with working outside, working in the heat, doing yard work, using my hands and figuring things out on my own.
Yeah, that's really
and
cool.
Not to say that nobody was there for me to help.
No, you're
guide
just a
me and
nifty
teach
dude,
Yeah. There were some instances where, yeah,
No, yeah, you totally are just like one of the busiest people. That's why it's like if I'm like I have a concept,
yeah,
I can text you and we geek out and then go through specs. And
yeah,
stuff,
and don't worry,
so.
I still have your thing for the amp for your.
Oh, don't worry,
for your
I'm
size,
upset.
so-
I got pictures.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I digitized it immediately. There was no way that much work was gonna get coffee spilt on
Cool.
it.
So don't worry, I'll get there. But growing up, there were times in my life where I'd have to do one of my chores. Whether it was like cleaning the garage or something, and then it was, hey, how do you want me to do this or do that? And it was figure it out. And
Autonomy, dude. Yeah, autonomy is so important. It makes like for a productive, full-rounded human being.
Yeah, because it allowed me to, and I was talking about earlier, it allowed me to use, be more mental about it than it was being physical about it.
Yeah, decision making is so much more.
And the mental, I feel, as for me, I don't know if anyone else can attest to this, but me doing things mentally improve me doing it physically.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's one thing to, show up to a fire, and then hey, go put in, go cut line, and it's like okay, instead of like hey, so go cut line. It's like okay, well, are we gonna go this way or this way? Are we gonna come in from this angle? Are we gonna cut this kind of line? Are we gonna cut that kind of line? Do you want these many people over here? So making it the mental workload improves your physical output.
Yeah.
Drastically.
Working smarter.
It makes such a big difference.
Yeah, that's important.
And I think that was well established when I was younger. And if it was anything I can say about my dad, is that the 100% of love and support he put into raising us, it was also 100% support into being very productive in our work, and not even being productive, but being prideful and how can I explain it? Having pride in your work and knowing what you accomplish.
Quality is important.
Quality.
Yeah. I can see that in both you and Ryan, because I know.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Shout out to Ryan, love you, bud. My
Oh my
brothers-
gosh,
my
yep.
brother's in Poland right now, so he probably won't listen to this until later. But shout out to Ryan, love you, bro.
Yeah, definitely. We love you.
Yeah, and Ryan was another one, and we'll get into that later. But
Oh no, we'll get into it now
well,
because you may not know this, Joshua, but Ryan and Travis are actually really good friends.
yes, you have mentioned that multiple times.
Oh, well, pretend like you don't know it for the viewers.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so anyways, Travis and Ryan, which is Josh's younger brother, were very good friends, and I think for sure he'll listen to it. I actually think if we send him the link tonight, it would cheer him up.
I'll send it to him.
Yeah, once we get it up and everything like that. Yeah. But we recently in Silver Lake had a very, very cool conversation with Ryan, which is weird because I hadn't talked to him in a long time. And then I don't remember, how did we get on that subject?
What was it about?
I don't know. We were sitting in Silver Lake. We were outside on a fucking beautiful hill view. No, I
think
don't.
He sent you something, and I was like, "Oh yeah, something about like drop to your pocket." Yeah.
They had an insight. Yeah.
See?
Ryan used to say that to Travis every day. And so they just started going back and forth. And it was actually kind of funny because it wasn't even a conversation between me and Ryan at the moment. It was a conversation between Trav and
We
Ryan.
started voice messaging each other. Like, we started arguing about something extremely mundane.
And like he was, you know, again in Poland, and doing his fucking thing over there. And so it was like 10 o'clock in the morning for him and like 1 o'clock in the morning for us. Cause I think it's like a 9-hour difference, right?
Yeah, there was vehicles driving by. He was like, "Good morning." Like,
He was during his voice messages saying good morning to other people.
Yeah, he's like talking shit to me on the voice message, just like clear as day. And the vehicle like drives by loud as fuck, and then like people walk by. He's all, "Good morning," and then you can wait a second. And then you just keep talking shit.
It's classic Ryan, bro. Classic Ryan.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been able to talk to him much just because of the.
Hit him up on Instagram or Facebook.
2-second interaction.
Yeah.
That's like all that we
It
caught him.
lasted a little while, bro, because like we were up till like 4 o'clock that night, and he was messaging us consistently. And he was the last one to send a message. He sent me a message. It was like, "Hey man, love you. Like, thank you so much for reaching out." Like. I don't know exactly if that's what it was. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, because it's fucking Ryan.
And you have CTE.
No, but like if I go on my messenger right now, I guarantee the last message I was sent was from that night, like where he was just like, "Hey man, I love you. Thank you for reaching out." Like, so you know, if you hit him up on like, if you just send him a voice message on like Facebook Messenger, because, well, does he have an iPhone or no? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So send him like start a text chat with him, where it's like you sending him a voice message of just like whatever, and he'll get back to you.
Dropped your pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Like he'll get back to you, bro.
Yeah, I'll do it on your phone. Fuck it.
Yeah, yeah. Travis will start the conversation because he's a genius. Yeah, maniacal genius. And Ryan is too. That's that's where Travis and Ryan have common ground. Is they're both maniacal geniuses. Like. Ryan was out there making like bows and arrows out of sticks and string.
Yeah, for a birthday or Christmas, if you gave him like twine, clothes hangers, and clothespins, man,
that kid would come up with some shit.
Anything.
That's the kind of friend you need.
He was literally the MacGyver of the family.
It's also how you get shot in the leg at 9. But you
That
know,
is
you
true.
live from that most of the time.
Look, man, there are some of us that are hunters, and there are some of us that are gatherers, and Ryan is just a hunter. That's just what he is. Yeah. He hunts gatherers. That's a perfect way to put it. No, shout out to Ryan, who is Josh's younger brother and my cousin and one of Travis's good friends. We love you, buddy. We miss you. I know you're going to listen to this because we're going to send you the link either way. Yeah. But we love you and we miss you, and, you know, just keep fucking doing your thing out there, bud.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Stay safe, brother.
Yes, thank you for your service, sir. Did I remember that's one of the things you said to him, and he's all, "Don't, nah," like he just like
Honestly,
immediately rejected it.
I'm the same way too, though. I mean, somebody, you know, thank you for your service. As much
That's why I have to tone it out.
It's a term of endearment and everything, and they truly mean it. Trust me, if it's anyone who means it, it's the community. But it's like, you know, thank you for the support. You know, it's much because I mean, honestly,
it just feels fruitless.
We can't
like,
do our
thank
job.
you for the sudden reminder. Unless like I'm hearing a tank drive by you, I'm not gonna make fun of it. You know.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, it's the community why we work. Like it's the community why I have a job. They, you know, pay taxes. That's what you pay for. You pay for the military, you pay for healthcare, and you pay for community service.
Yeah.
So,
what's the most mundane thing you've done, like community wise? What's your taxi story or something?
Like as far as like responding,
Cat in the tree, firefighter or whatever. What's your most like mundane thing you've ever had to handle? That was
a lady had called 911 because she needed help rearranging furniture.
Whoa, was it like heavy? Did you help her?
I mean, yeah, we helped her. So we helped her. So the
sucker.
So that thing, the whole thing with that though is, so we have our emergency line 911, but we also have non-emergency line. So we just kind of remind her like, hey, if you need help with that kind of stuff, you know, call this number instead. Don't call 911. But like that kind of stuff.
But if you're already there, why not move the sofa?
Yeah, we'll help. regardless, you know.
Yeah, seriously, it's no harm to take 2 seconds if you don't have another pressing call.
You know, we'll move it and then we'll remind them, hey, you know, next time call this line or instead of 911. But it's stuff like that, like like I've done that, or like helping change batteries and smoke detectors, or somebody needs help rehanging a door or something, that kind of. But
Have you rescued a cat from a tree as a fire?
negative?
No, dang.
No.
Negative.
Let me think.
This is the desert. Cats
A
gotta go.
lizard from a
nothing,
Joshua tree.
nothing,
God
nothing
damn
with
it.
pets. Sorry.
They usually have you
pets?
call the animal control.
Oh,
No,
true.
I think our department not too long. I think within the last year actually saved a cat from a tree.
Oh, dang.
So it's.
I don't know
not
why
as-
I was hoping that was you.
not as common, but I want to say that I feel sometime recently that there was a station that actually did a call for service for something similar.
How fucking cliche, dude. Your job sucks. I'm just
I
kidding.
mean, our job's all risk, but my job is very specific, so we're
Right.
not as likely. We're more likely vegetation fires and over the side rescues.
So I feel like I can ask you this because I already know the answer. You think being a wildland firefighter made you a better camper? I'm probably pretty bitching at camping.
Yeah, dude. I actually.
What's your like biggest efficiency upgrade for camping that like I'm not gonna die off of now?
Either a cot or some kind of sleeping pad.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, I take that back. I have a jet boil now,
What is that?
so it's just like pretty much like a camp stove.
Oh,
And
I
you
have
can-
one of those little Casoris.
Yeah,
you know,
you
the
can-
electric kettle. That
yeah,
thing like
well,
hauls
mine's
ass,
propane,
dude.
but yeah, soup, coffee, just hot water in general, stuff like that. But I travel everywhere with my jet boil. I love
That's
that
dope.
thing. I think that's one thing that I did acquire.
I'm gonna get you a tea set so you can bring that.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
Daddy likey. Are there any lessons or like anything specific that you've learned as far as like having to navigate your way through your career path and through that type of stuff? Because I know personally that there were things that you had to deal with and things that you had to adjust to. But is there any way that you can like if there's somebody who's interested in doing, because we just had Adam on and we actually got a lot of views from that.
What's your like sage advice?
Yeah,
that
like
would shortcut someone either in having that like process where you're gonna get like you'll find out you have to get turned away yourself or whatever. Is there a way that you can like shortcut that for someone or like?
Yeah, just number one, have all your ducks in a row. So there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of departments out there, and for the most part, they all require the same thing. Just have whatever the department requires as far as certifications and things of that nature. Have all that ready. If you're gonna apply and you want to do this job, make sure you have everything you need. Read the job announcements, read the job descriptions, even look into the history, because I guarantee you anytime you apply for a department, 99% of the time, you're going to go into an oral interview and they may ask you about the history. When
Right.
was the department founded? When did we get our first engine? How many stations do we have? How many communities do we serve? They're going to ask you those kinds of questions. So the biggest pride or a lot of pride that fire departments have are history. And I was kind of hoping you asked that, because one of the things that I was asked and I found very interesting is who pretty much came up with the first fire department and who was the people that provided it. You guys ever hear about this?
No, I thought you were asking me. I was
Well,
about
I
to
am
be like,
asking.
fuck, I don't know in and out.
Ben Franklin brought up the idea of the first fire department, and it was actually provided by the insurance companies.
It was that soon, like it
Yeah.
was that recent.
Well, I mean, you still, I think,
that makes sense to me though, because
You
think
mean
about
like a fire truck. Is that when
no,
that's
like
kind
actual,
of wagon thing entered the
like
picture, or
Bucket
actual
lines and shit.
assigned
detail
department
unit?
to go and respond.
Interesting.
Firefighting has actually come up since, it's been around since the the Romans, ancient Egyptians and Romans, I mean, they've had similar ideas of fire departments, bucket brigades, and they dumped the bucket in the water, and so Ben Franklin came up with the idea of having a fire department, and it was provided by insurance companies. And so the way they did it is each home would have this placard next to the front door. If you didn't have the placard, sorry,
your house is
is
burning
gone.
down.
So say I'm in like apartments or like a stacked neighborhood. Someone else's house is gonna get sprayed and mine's not.
If that complex was in
What's like a whole
The
complex thing?
the next complex over that's
So, like-
that's a touching wall is gonna get
So, like,
sprayed and mine won't.
yeah.
No. So it's more so like if your landlord chose to get that as your, like if your apartment building had the plaque.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
each
Yeah, it's like
insurance company had, just like now, they had different departments within that insurance company. So literally how people fought fires was by fighting. So they showed up, if this house was on fire and it had the insurance placard, there'd be multiple departments from the same insurance company that would show up, and whoever put the fire out was the department that got paid. So they would show up
Fucking
together,
capitalism,
and then they would
baby.
literally fight each other.
So you could
while
literally
trying
just
to-
let the other departments fight and then just go put the
they would
last bucket
literally
on.
Fight each other and try and put out the fire at the same time.
Firefighters. Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
So things like that. I mean, I know we kind of went on a tangent,
No, that makes sense.
but
No, that's really cool.
so
Good old
99%
Ben Frank, baby.
Yeah.
Did you know they discovered 19 or like 18 bodies under, like decomposed bodies under his property? So there's a good chance that
interesting.
Ben Franklin or someone associated with Ben Franklin was just a fucking serial killer, which
So,
is fantastic for our
anyways, yeah,
history.
that would be one of my biggest pieces of advice is have all your ducks in a row. Make sure you read the full job announcement, the full job description, go into standard operating procedures and guidelines, know everything you can about the department and their history or history of the fire service in general. And also number 2, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Now, fortunately for me, I was in that position. I put everything in one basket, but if that failed, I automatically had something to fall on. I didn't have a plan A, B, or C. It just worked out that if I quit or if I got let go from somewhere, I immediately had something just randomly lined up that I didn't plan. So if you apply for CAL FIRE, also apply for Ontario City, apply for LA County, apply for Orange City, apply for LA City. So put in, because I mean, what's the worst you're gonna say? No. I mean, and also a third, I didn't even think about this one. Get into not as so much the pay for the department, like what they'll pay you a month or whatever, but look at their benefits package. You're gonna be breaking your brain, your back, your knees,
And your bank,
jacked.
baby.
Yeah, look at the retirement. Look at what you're spending into it.
One thing that your dad did. Your dad did that
my
really
dad's
well.
collecting
He
2
set himself up.
retirements.
Yeah, he set
2
himself up.
retirements. So, look at their retirement. And because, I mean, I'd rather sacrifice a little bit of my salary for a better retirement.
Right.
Because there's people who are retiring and they have to pay medical. They
Right.
have to pay out of pocket for medical because it's not part of their retirement agreement. So look at
That's
their
fucked.
benefits. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And when you apply, make sure you have all your ducks in a row. So like I just applied for the firefighter 2 and engineer position. And the only thing I'm missing is my CPAT, which is just a physical test that you have to do every year to show that you can do the job. But I made sure I had everything. Make sure you have everything when you apply, because they can be in, like right now, super short staffed. Department wide, statewide, county-wide, citywide, wherever you go, everybody is short staffed. So you can be the first phone call they make and be like, hey, we want to hire you. You'd be like, oh,
But
okay.
this is- yeah.
Yeah, do you have this? Do you have this? I have these 3, but I don't have these 2. And then guess what? They're gonna throw
Dunzo.
They're gonna throw
Yeah.
your application in the shredder. So make sure you have everything you need before you apply.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna probably start wrapping this fucking bad boy up. I think it's about that time. Joshua,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you so much.
Thank
you for
you.
coming on. Shedding light on the community service thing is like, we've mentioned it before, like Travis and I are super passionate about community and community service and all of that type of stuff. So we've been pretty lucky to have some people on
just
that.
shedding light on it is important to us.
100%. And so it means a lot to us that you came on and that you decided to give us your time.
Is there anything else you guys would like to know before we before we close
Is there
this out?
anything that like normal people can do that would make your job easier? Like,
Yes.
I know people
Oh,
don't
for
pull the
sure.
fuck over and shit. What's like 2 things then if it was that quick?
So, as you know, California is fire season year round. I mean, you can have fires burning through Christmas, Thanksgiving. I mean, we just had it happen in Owens Valley. We had 5,000 acres burn in January.
Right.
So, for the public, if you guys want to help the department and put in your part in helping us, I would say, number one, have your defensible space. As far as wildfires go, if you have trees, make sure if they're within 10 or 20 feet of your house, make sure the branches are cut 5 feet off the ground. Make sure all your weeds are down to a minimum. Make sure you're fire loading. So if you have a lot of patio furniture, I mean, I'm not saying don't have it, just spread it out. Make the fire loading a little easier. If you have firewood, stack it a little further from the house. Trust me, when that fire front comes and you have embers blowing over their house, and
Don't lean it on the side of the garage.
don't lean it on the side of the garage. Don't put it near your front door. Don't put it on your porch. Just, keep the surrounding area of your house as clean as possible. So when we come and we're trying to do our best to help put out the fire or protect homes, we can look at your house and say, that house is good, there's no threat, and we can move on and, put in work where it's needed.
Right.
So,
Well, Joshua, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Obviously, this will be not the first time that you're on here because we want to be able to open up the doors to any of our guests that we've had on. And we've honestly been super fucking blessed with some super good guests, which rhymes, so it's true.
Yep.
But yeah, Josh, thank you again for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
The
no problem.
technical difficulties were an unfortunate thing, but also I feel like we powered through it, boys.
Yep.
We did it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
So, last but not least, Josh, where can people find you on Instagram, Facebook, anything like that? We know your name is Joshua Galoni.
It's on the screen.
Oh, it is on the screen.
Yep.
Uh,
So Instagram.
That Bobbert guy,
that
that's
Robert
right.
guy, and that's kind of funny because when we were kids, so my middle name is Robert, and
Yeah.
my little brother would call me Bobbert.
Yeah. He's
so
a dick.
Instagram at that Bobbert guy, but don't be surprised if I don't post or say or do anything because it's not
your thing.
I honestly only really use it to follow fires and
Mike Craftsman of the Speakeasy.
reports. Yeah. So, I don't have Facebook. I don't have Twitter. I don't have anything like
Cool.
that. So just follow what it says on the screen. You can find me there if you want to follow.
Cool beans, man. Well, we appreciate you again for coming on. Everybody be sure to check out the Drowning EP, Mike Craftsman and the Speakeasy. We've been putting a lot of...
coming up on the 1st.
We do have a show coming up at 𝙿𝚾𝚜 Lounge in Joshua Tree on September 1st.
Beat.
And that I'm so happy you said that because guess what I have to do? Get the wedge out of your trunk.
We do have to do that. We do have to.
Yes.
Yeah, so I gotta get the wedge out of your trunk so I can go set up my electronic kit and just start fucking practicing. And dude, I'm so excited for everything we have coming up. We're sitting on a couple albums right now as the Speakeasy.
Just wrote a new song this week, so
New song coming out soon. Well, new album coming out soon. Multiple new albums coming out soon. But we just added another song to the repertoire. So we're super excited to share that with you guys. We've been grinding it out. And once again, thank you to everybody who has been committed to actually giving this a shot, to all of the people that we've picked up in the last few episodes. It's been boom, 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 boom. Like level up, level
real
up,
quick,
level
yeah,
up.
shout out to you guys because I'm very close to all three of these guys with the speakeasies, and seeing where they were individually to where they're at now, it's amazing. So please, not only as a friend, not only as technically a band member, but just somebody who enjoys the music as much as they do, making it. Yeah, truly thank you for checking them out and keep following them because they're on to great things. So good job, guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah, hell yeah, guys. Well, we'll catch you on the next episode of the Speakeasy Studio presents
The podcast. The podcast. I had to
the podcast.
podcast.
The podcast. The podcast.
Peace.
The podcast. The podcast.
The podcast.
The podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sh-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-